Welcome everyone to episode 2 of the NR Comics Webcast. I'm one half of your host, M. Rebel, alongside with
Jay Ryan.
And today we have a special treat for you. We have a couple of things we want to talk about. We have the Trinity War, which was DC Comics' first New 52 big crossover event. We have, hell yeah. And if you judge by this, spoiler, but nevertheless, we have Batman and Superman. And then one of our personal favorites from Marvel Now, we have some ideas from Captain America. Now, if you don't know what the Trinity War is, check this out.
So this story starts with the Justice League. Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, The Flash, Aquaman, and Cyborg. And these guys, we know these guys. They're the world's greatest heroes. But people are wondering what happens if this team turns against us. Who stops them? And so the United States government puts together their own Justice League, the Justice League of America. And each member of the JLA was really secretly recruited to defeat a specific member of the Justice League. So they're led by Wonder Woman's ex-boyfriend, essentially, Colonel Steve Trevor. And he's brought on the rogue archer Green Arrow, who's going to take on Batman, and the Savage Hawkman, who's going to take on Aquaman, and Martian Manhunter, who's going to take on Superman, and all these other heroes trying to prove their worth. And so these two teams come into battle, and during this war between superheroes, one of the heroes crosses a line, and another hero ends up dead. And that's really where the story starts, and the third Justice League comes in. So this third team is called the Justice League Dark. And they're a mysterious group of supernatural heroes that have come together to fight things from the shadows, things we don't believe in. They don't like the title Justice League Dark, they don't like the name, but that's what they're stuck with, that's what they've been called. And this team's led by this magical con man named John Constantine, who's blackmailed these other people into working with him. Like the ghostly dead man, he can possess people. You've got the real Frankenstein monster, and then you've got Zatanna, who's the daughter of the world's most powerful magician, Zatara. So you've got the Justice League, the JLA, and the Justice League Dark, and they go to war. And it's hard to tell who's a good guy and who's a bad guy. And as these heroes are fighting, they figure out the supervillains, this group of supervillains, have actually orchestrated everything. And the good guys lose, and the villains win.
Now, if that video didn't do it for you, let me tell you, man, this event was amazing. I mean, you know, from the start to finish, it was everything you'd expect from a big event feel. You know, it's basically what you wanted out of some of Marvel's recent events. Like you had Avengers vs. X-Men, which, don't get me wrong, was awesome, but you know, it kind of felt like it fell short in certain places. You had the Age of Ultron comic series, which personally I think kind of sucked. I know Jay Ryan liked it a little bit, but you know, this had that big event feel to it from start to finish. And being that it involved, you know, you had the Justice League with the Justice League of America, and then if that's not enough, you have the Justice League Dark get involved. And it, you know, having all these big names there, just it felt big, to say the least. You know, it sounds kind of cheesy. Some stuff they don't mention in the video is you have this character named Pandora. Now, I know a lot of you guys probably didn't notice her. I'm sure you guys know who she is by now, especially if you are big into comics. She actually appeared in, I want to say all of them, I may be mistaken, but all of the first issues of every New 52 comic. And she was kind of subtly, you know, put in different places. Like, where's Waldo? Where's Pandora? You know what I mean? And I know most of you guys are going to go look back and look at your comics now like, oh, there she is. You know, like.
Yeah, I know I did.
Yeah, right? And it's like, it's funny when you look back. You're like, I skipped right past her to think she's an integral part of this gigantic event. And it's all, you know, it was great. So now, you know, you had the event crossover between Justice League of America, and Justice League Dark. But to kind of, you don't really need the book. But it was cool if you picked up the tie-ins from the Phantom Stranger, and Pandora actually had her own tie-in, which explains actually a lot of what's going on. Now remember, this is going to be spoiler filled. If you haven't read the Trinity War, if you don't want to know what happened, you're going to hear it here. So go ahead and turn off the page. If you are going to exit, I do highly recommend you like and subscribe. But again, if you don't want to hear about the spoilers, I suggest coming back after you've read the Trinity War. If you haven't read it already, you really should have. But so now we've given you that warning. Within the Trinity War, basically, there's this Pandora's box. It's in the shape of like a gold skull. And when you read Pandora's first books, they really let you know what that skull is about. Pandora's box, that's one of the oldest, I guess, fables or one of the old stories from Greek mythology, which is cool because they actually do reference that a lot, being that Wonder Woman's character comes from Greek mythology. So basically, she opens up Pandora's box, and then the 7 deadly sins overtake the earth, and she's trying now. Pandora's trying to recapture all these sins and capture, the deadly sins and bring it back into the box and close it up to save humanity from what she unleashed accidentally. So now that you kind of have that background knowledge, now we're going into the Trinity War. And basically what happens is she goes up to, this is what she's trying to do. She's trying to find either the purest of pure hearts, or she's trying to find the blackest of black hearts. And basically why she's doing this is because those are the only 2 type of people that can open this box. The box isn't open under normal circumstances, so they have to open this box to recapture these souls. Who does she go to initially? And then in the DC universe, John, Jay, who would you go to? Who's the best of the best? Who is the brightest of bright? Like, who would you go to thinking you're looking for the purest, best person on the planet?
As far as an unbiased answer, like, my favorite's Batman, but you want to talk about the purest of purest as far as goodwill and good-hearted, it's Superman, definitely, without a doubt.
Everyone calls him the Boy Scout, but it's just because Superman, I want to let you guys know, like, we did not start off being big Superman fans, but we love Superman now, just because we kind of understand him a little better. And I know a lot of people like, oh, he's a Boy Scout, he plays by the rules and all this stuff. Let me tell you, but he is the definition of hope, which, of course, he wears on his chest. The S means hope. Doesn't mean sex machine, that a lot of you guys think it means. But he is hope. He's hope for humanity. He's hope for humans. He knows, as much as he wants to know more about his Kryptonian race, he loves being a human as well because he was raised among us, and he knows there's hope for us. And I think, you know what? Believe it or not, he inspires not just one, but every single hero in the DC universe. I think he inspires everyone in the Marvel universe too. Obviously, they can't come out and say it, but come on, I know Captain America is like this symbol of hope in the Captain America is Marvel's Superman. But come on, these characters were inspired by who? By Superman, of course. Superman's the original. He's the fucking Godfather. So, anyways,
basically,
yeah, right. And if there's a reason why Batman never crosses that line, look who his best friend is. Look who teaches him to have hope. As dark as Batman is, he's not the darkest of dark, but as dark as he is, as I don't give a fuck attitude he has, Superman inspires Batman, and that says a lot because Batman inspires almost everybody else. So for Batman to play Superman on a pedestal, I think that means a lot to everybody. So Andor brings the box to Superman and basically tries, asks him, can you open this box? Can you help me out? Superman, of course, tries. Unfortunately, he couldn't do it. But he was affected. I think it was a little explosion. What happened when he tried to open it?
Basically, when you say he couldn't open it, not like he couldn't physically open it. Once he touched it, once he had it in his hands, you would think that it took control of him. It basically made him become possessed for a short period of time. When in a sense where you're thinking, hey, how is that possible? Pandora did what she had to do, give it to the purest of pure as far as having a good heart, and he was the guy to do it. And apparently the result just wasn't the right one that she was looking for. So basically he was in his possessed daze, and then he snapped out of it, and she would pass it on to even further to other people later on, and the same result would happen. And this would lead to something what Superman does to a current Justice League of America member, or actually was about to be a member, which was Dr. Light. You want to get into that, M. Rebel, as far as what happens to him? And this was basically what really started the Trinity War.
All right, so what happens is what happened was, to be fair, you had Shazam, and Shazam had just finished taking out Black Adam. Black Adam kind of lost his power at the end of Justice League. I believe it was number 20. I want to say 20. 20 or 21. I think it was 21. 2021, forgot. But they dedicated the entire issue to Shazam versus Black Adam, finishing up the storyline. And Black Adam, after, pretty much kind of losing his power, he just turned into dust. Not into dust, but more like ashes. And one of his dying wishes, and one thing that Shazam thought would be a good idea, was to take him to his homeland, I think, which is pronounced Kahndaq, or Kahndaq.
I think so. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Kahndaq.
Kahndaq. Excuse me if I'm mispronouncing it.
That's how I'd pronounce it.
Right. Which is kind of like, you want to call it like the Baghdad, or I don't know. It's the equivalent of one of our Middle East opponents currently in the terrorist war. So basically, unless you have permission from the army or from the president, you're not really supposed to be there. Shazam is young-minded, obviously. Billy Batson's a little boy. He doesn't understand this. He doesn't understand how politics work. He thought he was doing a good deed by spreading Black Adam's ashes throughout his homeland, paying homage. He knew that Black Adam wasn't a bad person, just came up under bad circumstances. And he still has hope for him. Because, they both, whether they like it or not, Shazam and Black Adam are family, in a sense where they both share that power source. So he thought he was doing a good thing. Now, with him being there, that set off alarms with both the Justice League and Justice League of America. They're like, what is he doing? Who is this guy? Why is he there? So Justice League of America, Amanda Waller, director of the Justice League of America, obviously sent Steve Trevor and the Justice League of America over to stop Shazam from causing further damage. Justice League also went over to do the same exact thing. When they get there, both sides are now, don't worry, we'll handle this. No, don't worry, we'll handle this. And obviously they start feuding a little bit. So from there, Dr. Light, who was actually kind of blackmailed into joining the Justice League of America from Amanda Waller, he kind of set off, or accidentally set off, some type of light trigger that kind of affected Superman. And Superman, without us knowing what happened, we find out later, but the lasers just got triggered somehow, and boom, Dr. Light is fucking toast. He's gone. He killed him. And you're like, did Superman just kill somebody? What the hell? What do you... The symbol of hope? The purest of pure? What the hell just happened? At least everyone's scratching their head. And that's what really starts the Trinity War, because we don't understand why this happened. So Superman's incarcerated. He's getting sicker and sicker by the day, and we just don't understand why, what's going on. And obviously now everybody, including Wonder Woman, who's his girlfriend, wants to find out what happened, wants to take care of him. And she remembers the instance because she was there when Pandora went to Superman to ask him to open the box. So what's her first instinct? Let's find Pandora. And actually, what she does first is she finds the Justice League Dark. And that's how they get involved. Because she goes to Constantine, goes to the guys, and says, I need to find Pandora. You guys got to help me. Obviously, they do help her. Not before. It's actually pretty interesting. Now, you think, all right, you got the Justice League versus Justice League of America versus Justice League Dark. And instead of, everybody kind of taking teams, they all kind of form their own teams of members from each group, which is really freaking interesting. You got Batman teaming up with, you got Deadman, you got Flash, I believe.
They were all scattered. Like, it was really, it was really hard to kind of keep track. Cause like you said, all three did split. It wasn't like the Justice League would join Justice League Dark and one in Justice League of America was left out. Like, all three joined together. So, basically it was almost like there were no sides. Like, there were sides being taken. Like, example, off the top of my head, I think one group you had Green Arrow and Cyborg, with Superman and Director Waller, and then you had another group where you would have, like, I think Martian Manhunter and Aquaman. Like, they were all split up. But I think
Manhunter was with Green Arrow and Cyborg. I remember that. Because they were with Superman. They're trying to help Superman. You had Batman, who had his own team. You had Wonder Woman, who had her own team. I'm losing specifics on who was each team, but just remember, you have, like, Team Superman versus... Actually, now it actually makes perfect sense now we think about it. Who is the Trinity? Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Who was the leader of each team? Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Trinity War. It makes fucking... See? Guys, we're learning as we go. I
didn't even pick up on that.
Right? There you go. That's the fucking Trinity right there.
I didn't even pick up on that. I seriously did not even... Wow.
Let me just say, I love comics. I love comics. I'm just going to throw that out there. I love comics.
I did not even pick that up. I'm thinking Trinity War, like, all three of them going on, like, like everyone else. I did not pick that up.
It's like when you're talking about it, it just kind of... It's like... It's so funny, man. You can sit there. It's like figuring out a math equation. You can sit there and try to figure it out in your head all damn day long. But it doesn't come until you, like, voice it out and you start visualizing it, like Tony Stark. You just, like, start visualizing shit that you actually start seeing it. There you go. Trinity War. Boom. So obviously, Wonder Woman's main thing is brute force. We need to go grab that, go find Pandora, find that box, and help Superman. And then you have Superman's team, who's kind of doing damage control. They're trying to help Superman. And basically, like, they don't really have an agenda other than helping Superman and performing an autopsy on Dr. Light to find out what triggered Superman to just kill him. Because obviously, everyone knows Superman didn't do this on purpose. There's no way. Let's be realistic. Nobody would believe that. And then you have Batman's team, who's actually trying to contact Dr. Light through the Phantom Stranger. Phantom Stranger's on his team, which probably leads me to one of my favorite things in the book. I'm going to let Jay Ryan take this one over because when he said this, I was like, you motherfucker. That is so good. Tell them that shit, man.
All right. So basically, the Phantom Stranger takes Batman, the Deadman, and Katana on board with them to speak to Dr. Light, basically in the afterlife. And during that whole scenario... Like, during that whole journey, I guess you could say they were, like, basically in heaven, for that matter. But before they get there, they each go into, like, their own like fantasies as far as, like, what they, like, their own desires, rather. Like, you saw Batman wishing he was with his parents, and then you see Katana wishes that she was still with her husband. I don't think Deadman had anything going on for himself, as a matter of fact.
They explain that Deadman is not alive, and since he is a ghost, kind of, he doesn't have his own version of heaven.
Right. So, one thing led to another, as far as Stranger basically going into detail of how he can, like, possibly bring back the dead. And Batman basically kind of questioned them, in the sense where it was a quick scene, but Batman is basically saying, "Bring back the dead, huh? That sounds interesting." And that immediately caught my eye because I'm like, It does sound interesting because I would like to see this possibly take effect in the future as far as, the whole situation with Damian Wayne and all that, So hopefully, they don't just leave it at that. I would like to see something happen as far as Batman meeting up with Phantom Stranger in the future, as far as how he can possibly work that out. But when I saw that, it definitely caught my eye. They didn't get too much about that. Like, Batman didn't really question him as far as how to do it and all that. He just made that one statement, and I was like, ooh, that could possibly lead into something big in the future. But never know. It's just these little things that you pick up, That
was a good catch, man. Like, for him to say that, and him to be like, Damian Wayne, I'm like, wow, like, that didn't even think about that first, Like, obviously, any normal person would be like, oh, well, that's interesting. But it's like, Batman always has a freaking agenda. I guess I should have read more in between the lines and reading it at face value.
I think, as a matter of fact, to quote him, he said, "That's awesome." That's what he said.
When has Batman?
When have you
awesome?
ever heard Batman talk like that in a comic before? Yeah, I think he said that. When have you ever heard Batman talk like that in a comic? He was so enthusiastic by the idea of it, because I think it gave him some sort of hope.
Yeah.
Because, I think it's safe to say that the only thing that's been going on through Batman's mind all year is to bring Damian back, is to get him back in his life again. And one stranger pointed that out. It clicked to him, It basically kind of turned his whole world in a completely different favor, and I think it just gave him a little ounce of hope as far as how that goes.
And that was a good catch, man. I gotta give you that, because I didn't catch that at all. And that was Batman's team's idea: is how do we talk to Dr. Light? How do we find out what happened? And that's when a Phantom Stranger, he goes, okay, well, listen, this could be life or death for me. We could bring him back, clear Superman's name, and find out exactly what happened. Well, according to the rules, Phantom Stranger can't do that. So, of course, he has a fight with some angels, and the angels wipe him from existence. Thus, Dr. Light they were never able to question Dr. Light. They talked to him briefly, but then the angels showed up and took Phantom Stranger away. Batman never, pretty much, Batman never got to complete his mission, which is unusual for Batman. So unfortunately, that plan failed. Wonder Woman was able to get the Pandora's box, but unfortunately, what a lot of us didn't understand was, if you're not the blackest of black or lightest of light, that box starts taking effect on you, and all of a sudden, everyone's inner, like, let's just say whatever, like, one of the 7 deadliest sins that you have the most of, that box is going to bring it out. So if you have greed, if you have anger, if you have gluttony, whatever it is, that box is going to bring out purely that in you. And that's when you see all the superheroes fighting over it, and they're each like, no, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. It finally took Zatanna to actually do a spell to make sure they couldn't reach the box, and then it took Constantine, of all people, because Constantine is kind of like all of those things pure. You know what I mean? Because he's not a good guy. He's already all those things.
He's the walking sin of all 7 deadly sins.
Pretty much.
Basically.
That's why he can pick up the box, put a fucking chain on that shit, put it around his neck, and walk around. It's not going to affect him. He's not purely bad. He's not purely good. He's right in between. He's the most. I gotta say, to me, he's the purest one, because he's the most honest one. He's like, well, this is me. I'm not trying to be a friend. I'm not trying to be a team leader. Apparently he blackmailed all the Justice League Dark to be the Justice League Dark, and has things on them, and that's why they have to kind of do what he says and be his team. Surely enough, they take this box, and Zatanna and him are transported. I forget where the location is, but they're transported to where Madame Xanadu is held captive. Now, what we forgot to mention in the beginning was Madame Xanadu is a fortune teller. She can actually see the future, see what's happening with this box, and see this entire war take place ahead of time. So, the secret society, which is villain team, captured her, and she's tied up, and finally they get to her. All the Justice League get to her, and they untie her, and she kind of mentions what's going on. And by then, the leader of the secret society gains possession of Pandora's box from Constantine. I forgot again. Do you remember how it happens exactly? How he gets it?
Well, he just appears out of nowhere. Like it's basically an all-out war between all three teams as far as them losing control with the box itself. I think Superman accused Wonder Woman having something with Batman or whatever.
That's
I want
right,
to say that was rage or what sin would you consider that to come out of Superman when you brought that up?
I'm gonna say jealousy. That just seems to be the most appropriate.
Yeah, so that was interesting. But as that whole war broke out, basically the leader of the secret society just showed up. And once he showed up, everyone's effect on the box stopped. It only stopped for a short period of time, and he picked it up. And basically, he was explaining that the box wasn't meant to be open. Rather, it's a gateway. And we'll get to that in a second. So, everyone is basically soaking this information in as far as what's going on, because they remember Xanadu. Am I saying her name right?
Xanadu.
Xanadu.
Yeah.
They were remembering that she said that the box was a gateway, and they don't realize what she meant by that. She knew it, but she couldn't really get into it because they shortly got interrupted. So basically, all three teams are incapacitated in their own way, and Rebel, I'm gonna leave you the option as far as if you want to give the news as far as what happens once he reveals what the box really is.
Now, all right. So now let me give you guys a little backstory here. We've seen this guy, this secret society leader guy, before. Personally, me and John are like, the dude kind of looks like the Joker. Who is this guy? Why is he always laughing? Yeah, and all that stuff. You know? Oh, like Mickey Mouse in the South Park episode. Oh. It's like, what's wrong with this guy? And we don't know who he is, And finally, he's explaining it's a gateway, and he explains how he had a mole in the Justice League, which was, what's the girl with Shrink? What's her name? Do you remember her name? I don't know why I'm blanking.
I think it was Adam. I'm gonna call her Adam.
Yes. Yeah. And she is a double agent or triple agent at this point. She was pretending to be on Justice League of America, getting them information from the Justice League. All the while, she was giving back information to this guy in the cane and the hat. And what happened was they finally explained what happened, why Superman is getting ill, and why Superman killed Dr. Light. This is the best part. It's insane. She, earlier on, actually got a little piece of kryptonite from Batman's, I believe, his lair, his cave, and we're all like, I guess at this point you kind of forget. You're like, all right, well, let's keep going on with the story. Why would she get it? You figure, all right, she's giving it to Waller. Who knows? She implanted that little piece inside of Superman's brain, which Superman never detected, never realized, because she can go so small, and it was messing with his brain cells, and whatever. And Dr. Light, since he can control light, whatever he did, took full control over Superman. Because at that point, because Superman doesn't have full control over his powers, because of the kryptonite, boom, the laser came out. kill Dr. Light because of the kryptonite implanted in his brain. And that's why Superman's getting sick. So surely enough, after all that's revealed, this guy, he goes, well, I guess you guys kind of want to wonder who did this, who's responsible for all this. Well, let's just say, as they say in your world, the butler did it. And you're like, what the fuck? And he unleashes the gateway, opens the gateway, and who comes out? John, who comes out?
The crime syndicate.
The fucking crime syndicate. Fucking Ultraman. Fucking Owlman.
Yeah, Ultraman, Owlman. Yeah.
And this guy that we're like, this freaking Joker wannabe guy, is their version of Alfred. And he's been here the entire time. Basically finding the means, basically trying to find the box, which he knew by causing this entire war to happen, that they would find the box thinking it was responsible for the war. And, of course, instead of him trying to find it, they would find it for him, save him the trouble. And as soon as he opens up that gateway, guess who just happens to come out? The crime
also,
syndicate.
too, I also want to bring out that, let me tell you, Adam, like, she was just a big turning point towards the end of that story, because it's like she had the best staged, I'm going to say, like, the best staged heel turn, if that makes sense. Basically, like, she set them up so good, because after she revealed, her plan as far as what she did with Superman, and once that gateway opened when the crime syndicate, like, she's like, now what? Who's that coming in through, who's that coming in through the portal? Like, she was pretending like she had no idea who they were. And then, once again, you see her run towards their version of Flash. I forgot his name. Basically, they're like a couple. And I'm like, oh my, are you kidding me? Like, she's a part of them too, and I'm just like, wow, like, it doesn't get any sneakier than that. Like, again, and this goes back to Batman wondering who got into his cave, and like Emerald said, you forgot that through time, but that was one of the first things that that was unanswered. Who got into Batman's cave, and who took the kryptonite?
And now that we know that their version of Alfred did it, who has clearance to the Batcave? Alfred. That's my idea.
Blows my mind. No, it makes perfect sense though. And, it was just from start to finish, like, overall, like, I think Evan Rebel can agree. I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10, because from start to finish, all the little details and parts that were involved in the story, there was not one single dull moment in that story. Like, every part of that story was just amazing. It was done so well. Jeff Johns proved once again why he's one of the greatest comic writers in the industry. And
of all time, I think, at this point.
Yeah, it's just when you think he's outdone himself, he's keeps upping the ante, and this story was just the start of things to come, honestly. Yeah. This wasn't even, like, the end of it. Like, it's a big cliffhanger. Like, I think this is the first time they've actually ended, I think, any comic publisher, whereas they'll end a major story with the villains taking over. Usually it'll have, it'll have a good resolution with the heroes or some kind of, like, cliffhanger for the heroes, but it's all in the villain's favor for this matter, which basically it'll lead into DC's new monthly title. It's a limited series of 7 issues. It's called Forever Evil, where you have all of the villains of the DC universe teaming up.
And who knows what to expect. I mean, remember, guys, September is Villains Month for DC Comics, which means your favorite comics, Batman, Superman, all that, they're not going to just have one title. They're going to have about 3 or 4, for most. And they're going to be short, like one-shots for each villain. So you're going to have, like, Batman's book that has, you know, I believe one for, like, Bane, one for the Joker, Two-Face, the Riddler. I think I may have got something mixed up. You get Detective Comics, that's going to have a Poison Ivy story, Harley Quinn story. They'll have the Justice League book. They'll have, like, Lobo as one of the stories, which is awesome. I can't wait for that. Superman, he'll have, like, Metallo. He'll have Lex Luthor and all that stuff. And then, obviously, like Jay said, the main title, Forever Evil. If you don't get anything else, that's going to be one book, if you have read this story, to jump into. We're going to see a crime syndicate. We're going to see all these villains. We're going to see everything happen. And, man, I'm ready. I'm ready for the ride. I'm excited. We again, like he said, you don't see things end like this all the time. Like at the end of AVX, again, like the good guys won. All right, good job. Let's go home. You know, hey, you know, like the Avengers. Hey, all right, guys. Well, let's take tomorrow off. You know, like now it's like, no, we need to do something. Shit is going down. You know. So I'm excited. I can't wait. I haven't been this excited for this in a long time. Like the last time I was really this excited was towards the end of The Amazing Spider-Man, towards issue 700. I just couldn't. Every month I was like, oh, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? Come on, Spidey! Come on, Spidey! What the fuck just happened? Doc Ock? What? Don't get me wrong, Superior Spider-Man is one of my favorite comics right now, but it's like, what the fuck just happened? What the hell? You know, and I remember just being so excited for that storyline, and for, you know, for the end of Amazing Spider-Man 700, which I still can't believe is gone, but that was such a good run. I love Dan Slott. I think he's great. For anybody who has not read Superior Spider-Man, because you guys hold like some kind of weird grudge, check it out. It's awesome. You know, you guys really need to, I don't want to say you really need to, but I think you guys should give it a shot. You know, this man has a lot of talent, and there's a lot of great stuff going on in the book currently. I understand, you know, we love Peter. I love Peter. Peter will be back. Trust me, he'll be back. Enjoy this ride. It's awesome. But going back, yeah, again, like, the Justice League, as powerful as they are, they're at the disadvantage. How do you take on this team? How do you take on every villain in the DC universe if that's what's going to happen? You know, you got a lot of smart guys in there. You got Lex Luthor, you got Bane, excuse me, I'm sorry. Yeah, you got all these guys in there, these smart villains. They have a lot going against them right now, and I can't wait to see what happens.
It makes you wonder too. I don't know. I doubt they would do this, but it makes you wonder. Like, will this be the last time that we see all 3 Justice League teams together? Like, are we going to see them try to unite? You know, and try to, you know, take out the crime syndicate and all the other villains involved. Like, I mean, I don't. You know, they're not making it like it's a big story where they are going to reunite, but it makes you wonder that if you read the Justice League title, or you just read one of those titles only, you know, you want to see what's going on in the other titles as well, because all 3 teams just came out of a big surprise. So it makes you wonder, at some point, all 3 of these teams are going to probably correlate with each other once again, and, you know, they're going to want to work together to take out the crime syndicate. It's going to be a big war. I mean, that's what I'm expecting.
Oh, yeah.
Looking forward to it.
I'm expecting that maybe 2 or 3 years after this happens, we get a nice, you know, animated feature. That's all I'm saying. Make it happen, DC. You guys are good at that. And really, like, this is...
Yeah. Take more money out of my wallet.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much sign all my checks over to Warner Brothers anyway. And Warner Brothers and Disney over there. But, you know, just before we wrap up our talk about the Trinity War, like Jay said, I honestly, honest to goodness, do give this a 10 out of 10. It was just one of those series where you don't know what to expect. It wasn't, like going in there, you really didn't know what to expect. It wasn't like watching, I hate to say it, but it's not like watching a WWE match and you kind of know who's going to win, who's going to lose. You just didn't know. It was great. For those of you who did know, or are going to claim you know, yay. Like, for the real comic reader, we know no one really expected this to happen. No one really expected that to be, the crime syndicate's version of Alfred. And I'm excited going forward. And that's what I got to say about it. Any last thoughts?
Once again, as far as that whole story goes,
Right.
it's something great, and looking forward to Forever Evil as well as the one shots for all the villain issues that are coming out in September for 2013, and we'll be sure to definitely make a video dedicated to all those one shot issues. Whereas M Rebel and myself will have most of the same issues, but we'll also have some different issues where we will all talk about them, our thoughts and reactions towards them. So definitely be looking forward toward that in the future.
Mm-hmm. And now with that big epicness, wrapped up, let's move on to something that I thought was going to be epic, but I'm kind of feeling a little let down by it. Again, I'm talking about Batman and Superman. Now, when this title was introduced, I was like, Batman and Superman, that's awesome. It's amazing. How do you go wrong? But I gotta be honest, I have a few gripes with it. One, I just don't think that the story is really being properly told. Like, there's just so much that I get it, they're trying to make us maybe think a little bit, but in the same token, you're not giving us a lot of clues to work with, in my opinion. Again, I don't want to knock anybody who loves this book. It's Batman and Superman. What's not to love? But from the first issue to the third issue, it's just like, again, it's one of those things, again, like we just kind of did with the Trinity War, where when you're saying it out loud, you kind of put two and two together, but they don't give you a good timeline. And when I say that is, you go into this, and then all of a sudden you have Superman the way he looks currently, like in his Superman books, in his Superman, in the Justice League, with his new Superman, new 52 attire, and then you have Superman in a t-shirt and the jeans. Okay. And then you have Batman, who kind of just looks like Batman, normal Batman. It's just a little darker. And then you have, like, the other weird-looking Batman. And it's like, alright, well, what's going on here? Why are they, like, fighting each other? Why is it that you have, like, two Batman, like a Batman and a Superman who are cool, and then you have the other two that are kind of fighting each other? I just don't think the idea was properly introduced. It just seemed kind of rushed. After piecing it together, we've pretty much come to the conclusion that the timeline is the Batman and Superman who've come to this different universe, this Superman and Batman universe, where they know each other and they're friends and they pretty much grew up together. The other team, with Superman with the T-shirt and the regular Batman, we're assuming this is when they first met, or they haven't met each other yet and they're just getting to know each other. It's a weird timeline. And again, they don't do a good job of telling you this is when the story takes place. This is it. I understand a lot of people aren't fans of comic books holding your hand. But if you're doing something where there's like 15 fucking Batmans coming out, give us an idea what the hell is going on. I could piece it together if it was Batman and Superman. But like, alright, now there's two Batmans and two Supermans. What's going on? The art, I'm not crazy about the art, to be honest with you. It's a book I highly consider dropping until I read issue 2. I know we're only in issue 3, so it sounds kind of ridiculous, but when I saw that Batman was married to Catwoman and Superman was married to Lois Lane, one of my biggest dreams, one of my biggest hopes as a Batman fanatic is for Batman to marry Catwoman, to be with her. That's my ultimate dream, for them two to be together. So that's why I'm keeping up with it, because I do like that concept a lot. But to me, it's just like, give us a clue here, Okay, do me a favor. Let me know what's going on.
Yeah, it was, like, like it was easy to distinguish between the two different Supermans, like which one was the present and the future, and which one had more experience than the other, henceforth the future over the present. But when it came to Batman, both of them, to me, looked identical. It was hard to tell which one was the past and the future Batman. Like the outfit itself looked similar, and the only way I could find out which was which was depending on the dialogue that was involved. And that threw me off as well, you know? And also too, like, I appreciate those multiverse storylines, but again, like M. Rebel said, like, they didn't really give you a good idea as far as like when it was happening, because it makes you wonder. It's like, okay, are we taking the present universe, like let's say the Batman and Superman that we're both familiar with, okay? It's like they're both married to Catwoman and Lois Lane, and then you have another one where it's their first meet. Now, this is what we expected when we first saw this title come out. We expected, you know, how they first met, and I thought that was going to be it. And then they just took it into a whole new level, like basically the first story in issue 1, whereas they're going to take that universe and mix it with this other universe where you already have a married Batman and Superman coexisting with you know, with these two. It's like it kind of throws you off a little. Like it throws you off as far as like the time period itself, because like when I read comics, you know, like when you have one character in more than one title, or even two titles rather, you know, you kind of picture yourself what's coming, what's before and after, like what's, you know, like I'm picturing he did this first or he did that second. So it's like, do I look at this title as its own entity, as its own like story, or is it going to eventually correlate with, you know, the other titles itself? Like, are they going to bring this up later on in other titles? So, you know, that's another question too that I had in mind. But again, issue 4 will be the concluding issue for this whole story thing, as far as like the whole multi-universe thing. And I don't know if they're going to keep up with all 4 of them, as far as having 2 Supermans and 2 Batmans. The concept is interesting, but it is a little confusing as far as how they write it as well and how they present it.
Like, this would have been a great second story arc. Introduce us, let us see Batman and Superman meet each other. Even if they're not friends, at least let us see that they know each other. Let's find out why Superman is wearing a goddamn t-shirt. Why Batman, you know, looks like Batman, I guess. I don't know. Like, I guess what they should have done was, instead of having Batman look like, if it's supposed to be their first meeting, then go back a little bit. Maybe put Batman in the blue and gray. Something, anything. You know, it's like you guys are kind of forgetting.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
It's like you guys kind of forgot there was like that whole... I get it. It's a new 52. They redo everything. Pay homage to what came first, you know? Especially if you're going to do, like, this is Batman's first appearance. I guess you don't want to... I think I kind of understand maybe they want to do Batman's first, like, non-campy appearance kind of thing. But don't take away what made this character special either. And do us a favor, at least, you know, even if you want to make this the first story arc, the first issue should at least be them having some dialogue and speaking to each other, and then we see them get sucked into this whole thing, you know? Like, it was a head scratcher. As I'm scratching my head, I'd say that to you. Because I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I was going to drop it after the first issue, Jay could tell you. I was like, I'm going to drop the shit. But, you know,
give it some time. Give it some time.
Give it some time. You know, I was like, to me, it's like you're giving me the first. Like, you know, when you meet somebody and they act a certain way, and now no matter even if they change, you still kind of picture. Like, let's say I met Jay and he was a dick the first time I met him. Bad first impression. You know, usually it's like always that first impression that counts. And I feel like, you know, I met Superman and Batman for the first time. The book was acting like a dick, so I figured I'd never talk to it again. I'm glad I picked it up and I read it. But the same token, it's like, kind of think, like, remember, now this is the new 52. You need to remember that we're playing by a different set of rules, and fine, this could be very well that you want this to be like the early years, like when they first started, but you need to do something to help bring in comic readers. Because I guarantee you, somebody new off the fucking street who never read a comic before picked up Superman and Batman #1. They were like, oh. They read it. They'd be like, I'm never reading comics again. It's not for me. It's just one of those. It's true. It's like, that's the way I would feel if I went in, never read a comic before in my life, and I'm like, I want to get into comics. Batman and Superman. Oh, it's the first issue. Of course I'm going to check that out. It's Batman and Superman. You read it, you're like, yeah, you got to be those kind of comic experts to understand this shit. And I feel like you and I are kind of intermediate. We're not comic, experts. I would say we're intermediate at this point. We're a little more than intermediate, but we're like, what the hell's going on here? And I'm sure you can have, like, the comic elitists. They'll never admit it because they're elitists, but they'll be like, what the hell is going on here? So that's my gripe with that. I really hope it does shape up. First off, I really hope they get Jay Lee off this freaking comic, because this is the ugliest art I've ever seen in my life. No offense, but, I don't know, it's good, but in the same token, it's really ugly to me. I don't like it very much.
Yeah, I'm not too crazy about it either. I mean, usually when I see artwork that I'm not too crazy about,
I don't buy it.
For the most part, well, for the most part, depending on who's writing, like who the writer is, it's like I don't want to judge it by its cover either, as far as judging by the artwork. Like, there have been times where I've been proven wrong, like, I'm not too crazy about the title because of the artwork, but depending on how it's written and the way the stories are and all that, like the artwork, I'll eventually get behind the artwork itself. Like, I'll get behind it along with the writing. I can't really seem to do that with this title, and hopefully that changes. I want to be proven wrong. I mean, this is Batman and Superman we're talking about. I want to be proven wrong because you got two of DC's granddaddies, and I know this is just a voice of opinion, but I do want that to change, I do want to get that perspective again where I do like the writing of it, and because the writing's good, regardless of my distaste for the art, it'll make up for it,
Right.
So hopefully Greg Pak, I think he's the writer for it, hopefully, it does shape up after this first story concludes after issue 4, and we'll just see where it takes from there. We'll definitely keep you guys posted as far as whether we kept up with the title or not, but we'll see.
But, now that we got that out of the way, Captain America. Oh, so good. At first, I think Jay and I can both tell you, we're like, alright, well, it's interesting, but we understood it. But we understood it, and it's cool. I mean, he gets basically a premise, again, spoilers, Cap gets sucked into Dimension Z, Z for Zola, obviously one of his bigger rivals, and amongst doing so, he's pretty much spending what seems to be years of his life in this dimension. I believe in a second issue, Zola has a child that's, like in a chamber, and it's being, basically like a test tube baby type thing. Cap, being
I think it was issue 1 that happened in. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess maybe it was the end. He sees this child, he jumps in, grabs him, saves its life, thinking, nothing of it, thinking that's just what he does as a superhero. And obviously his first thing is, I'm going to go get my Avengers. We're going to come down here, we're going to save everybody. Fortunately, it hasn't really happened. So we spend a good 7 issues, and, we see him raise his child, who turns out to be who he considers his son. He names him Ian. And basically they got to fight Zola. Zola is taking over this dimension, and he's trying to find a gateway after raising his army to go to Earth and basically make everybody brainwashed and put his Zola virus into everybody on Earth and take over, basically make it another kingdom for himself. Luckily, it doesn't happen. Cap saves the day with the help of Agent Sharon Carter, and the help of Ian, and the help of Ian's sister Jet. And fortunately enough, he makes his way back to Earth. Which is amazing. And something that was really cool was at the end of Chapter 10, of issue 10, we presume, because when Sharon first arrived, Cap was having basically a fight with Ian. Ian was brainwashed, but he was finally coming to his senses. Sharon shows up, sees that Cap looks like he's in danger. Boom. Ian gets shot. Ian's dead.
Yeah, it's like, first you're shocked that happened to him, that he gets shot off screen. And then once you flip that page to see who was responsible for it, that's when you're like,
what the fuck? Creatore Zola. Who wouldn't
and you know
Zola?
What? Rick Remenda is a good writer, but because of that twist, I'm like, you just proved yourself that you could be one of those writers that can just come up with the mind-blowing twist of involved in a story. I could not believe that. That blew my mind. I still can't get over it.
I know. I still kind of want to know how she knew he was there. I guess she just investigated the site that teleported him there, and I guess you can't really get into detail about everything. But I kind of want to know how she found out and how she got there and all that. Another thing, I kind of want to find out why she didn't bring the Avengers. It's just kind of like a no-brainer. Also we find out, I don't know if we mentioned this in the beginning, before he gets sucked into Dimension Z, he was actually engaged to Sharon. He was supposed to marry her. One thing led to another. He's in Dimension Z. Now, after he gets back to Earth and all that with Jet, because Sharon actually had to sacrifice herself to take out Zola at the end so that they could escape. So Jet and Cap...
Which was also another shocker.
So she got... Who knows what happened to her. But the best moment that really just made the hairs in the back of my neck just stick up. That just... Wow, Ian is alive. He didn't die. He grew up a little more. He made himself a makeshift Captain America outfit. He has a shield, and he is going under the name the Nomad, which you remember Cap went under the Nomad when he basically didn't like what the U.S. government was doing and didn't want to represent America anymore. And he's alive. So, that leaves so much open to more stories, and hopefully we can get Ian back. And I'm interested to see what's going to happen with Jet. Excuse us, I know we left a lot of details in between out, but it's a lot. It's a little complicated to get into. Not like the Trinity War. The Trinity War was complicated too, to give you like little details, but that was like our main coverage. I implore you guys, read that book. The trade paperback is coming out soon. Just look for it. Captain America, Escape from Dimension Z. 8 out of 10. Alright, give it an 8 out of 10.
It's definitely up there. I'd say, or maybe I might give it a 10 out of 10, to be honest, because this is definitely unlike any Cap story that I've ever read. And if you're a Cap fan, I think you can agree as well. Like, this isn't your typical Cap story where, he's at war, but not on Earth. He has no associates. He's got no backup. It's just him. He had Ian. The whole reason why I loved the story so much was because it's not a Cap story that we're so used to reading. Like, as far as him raising a child as if it were his own, basically, it really reminded me of The Last of Us, which is basically Sony's exclusive video game for the PlayStation 3, whereas you had characters of Joel and Ellie working together, and then throughout the game, towards the end, Joel basically kind of treats like Ellie almost as if, she were like another daughter to him. So in looking at that, that's how I saw Cap's relationship towards Ian. And it was very special to me because I'm a big Cap fan, and definitely different to read. And
yes.
Once I saw that happen to Ian, it broke my heart. I couldn't get over it. And then to see Ian's face once again alive and well, basically leading his own army as a nomad, it was like, wow, like, is that the last time that we get to see Ian in that dimension? Are we going to see him later on? And also, too, there are a couple of questions that are asked after that issue, after issue 10. Is Sharon gone? Did she survive?
Right.
And also, too, you have Cap and Jet Black together. I would like to see them two together as well. I would like to see Cap work with her in a sense where maybe, she can be kind of like be like, I don't want to say be his own daughter, like, Zola being replaced by Cap, but in a sense, I do want to see them two together as well. It's just one thing leads to another, and because they left together. Again, it would just be interesting to see, especially that you have, fresh new characters like them too. And like I said, hopefully it's not the last that we see Ian or Jet Black.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty much going to have to introduce her to this new world that she's not accustomed to. Be her guidance, pretty much. Well,
deja vu, as far as Cap being...
being somewhere where he wasn't, comfortable with.
She's a woman at a time.
There you go.
Not even that. A woman out of
dimension.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing because, again, you have, like I said, I really love this book because it takes Cap out of his whole Avengers thing. Don't get me wrong, I love the Avengers, but I'm not currently reading any Avengers books. So number one, there's just way too many Avengers going on. Two, you have Avengers doing everything nowadays. They're going to space. They're gonna fight. What's his name? I'm not forgetting his name. Thanos. They're gonna fight Thanos. They're going camping next week. They're going on a road trip the week after. So many Avengers titles, and I feel like Cap is just left in the dark. I feel like the characters aren't being developed very well. That's why I like the individual books better. Cap, this book was just amazing. It's a true testament of what Cap is and how Cap will go out of his way to help anybody, no matter where he is, no matter how injured he is, no matter how he may be on the verge of dying. He's going to put everyone else before himself, which is the same reason why I love Indestructible Hulk. Again, Hulk in that comic book. It's an amazing book. The first issue of Iron Man. I don't keep up with Iron Man. I keep up with only Hulk and Cap. That was a great book too, and just to see them separate from that team, from again the Avengers doing everything, it's nice. And this series, this Cap book is a true testament to the character of him, of Captain America, and who he is and what he does. And I can only highly recommend it to you guys, and I can't stress it enough how much you guys should definitely check it out. Artwork done by John Romita Jr. Amazing. Again, the story by Rick Remender. This is definitely a title you don't want to get back. You don't want to miss. You don't want to miss this. And without further ado, is there anything else you want to add to that, Jay?
That was basically it. And once again, issue 10 was the last issue as far as John Romita Jr. Doing the artwork for that title. So, I mean, it's just artwork, but I truly feel like artwork is just as important as the writing. So, I mean, I have no doubts as far as like who the next artist is going to be. I didn't look up any further as far as who it is, but at first I wasn't a fan of John Romita Jr.'s art. Like at the start of issue 1, like it just looked too too generic for my taste, but because of the writing, I eventually got behind it. So, now after 10 issues, it's like, oh my God, now he's leaving. So basically, we're going to see Rick Remender's, same writing skills with another artist, which will definitely be just as good, and I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. And hope you guys enjoyed this edition of the NR Comics Webcast. Like, subscribe if you like what you saw, and keep up with us. We're definitely going to have some new content coming out. We're going to try to get it done weekly, even if it's just, give you guys just ideas on different things and different comics. We'll even throw some video game stuff in there. But keep up with us. You won't be disappointed. And for Jay Ryan, I'm M Rebel, and we'll see you guys next time on the NR Comics Webcast.
Take care.